Hi everyone, my name is Iliana Rodriguez and this is my workshop pitch. So for my workshop, I picked project communications as the topic. Project communication is really what makes or breaks a project. A lot of times people think that when they hear project that there may be a project manager assigned to that project, and that's not always the case. Really, it's the informal projects that land on a department manager's desk that really are the part that's most crucial to a business's day-to-day operations. Those projects are smaller, maybe shorter in time frame, may not have so many interdepartmental connections that need to be made, but still could benefit from being run in the same way that a larger project is. So this workshop would cover at a macro level the 4 stages of a project. So your intake, your planning, your updates, and closing your project out. It would be geared towards department managers who may have an interest or who have identified previously that they are getting a lot of projects, handed to them and they want to improve. So the workshop would be about 3 hours and would include a lot of discussion and activities, and we'll get into that in a second. First, let's go to the learning objectives. So these are the things that we would want our students or learners to have by the end of the workshop. So really it's having the tools necessary to run a successful informal project. So the objectives would be learners understanding the benefit of good project management and communication, learners being able to demonstrate the appropriate use of key project organization tools, including task lists and agendas. Learners would be able to identify their current organization communication and project styles, and they would be able to recognize the appropriate communication style, frequency, and recipients for their particular project. So this is why it's important. Good communication has to be invested in. It makes for efficiency. So right off the bat, if you have a more efficient process, you are going to reduce waste, and that's reducing things that need to be redone because it was miscommunicated. Missing a task that now needs to go back because the following task couldn't be completed. All of those things cost money because they cost time. And having an efficient process leads to an accurate outcome from there. Having an accurate outcome, reaching that goal in a way that's efficient, from there can reduce stress for the managers and the stakeholders involved. Anyone involved in that project is going to be stressed just on the fact that they are participating in a project. And a lot of times, the biggest stressors in an organization come from communication and miscommunication. So reducing that stress can then increase your employee morale. And increasing your employee morale leads to better retention. People leave organizations when they do not feel that the communication is there. And especially in those informal projects, that's where it really matters because those are the ones that are happening on a day-to-day basis. From there, how does it affect your organization? Really, it's that return on investment. You're investing in your managers, you're investing in your employees, and you want that retention, you want those efficient processes, and you want those accurate outcomes. And really, it starts with good communication, especially in projects. So the course itself, like I said, would be about 3 hours. Managers would be required to complete some pre-work. And this pre-work would be really looking at an idea of a sample project that they could then bring to the workshop to run all the way through. We would ask them also to think about any previous projects that they might be on so that when we have our discussions, they have a base of knowledge or at least an idea of what they've worked on in the past. So each section is broken out by minutes here. We do have at the very beginning an icebreaker question that becomes very important at the end. So really it's introducing yourself, but asking that question of how comfortable would you be if a new project was assigned to you today? From there, we'll go through the different stages on how to identify projects, where to start off when it comes to doing an intake form, what they need to do once they have that information to create a task list. We'll have a break to make sure that we don't have any learning fatigue in the middle there. And we'll come right back to figuring out who you need to involve in each project. Then we'll go to what happens when you're done and the importance of conducting postmortem reviews. After that, that's where that icebreaker question comes right back and we start the evaluation process. So let's go to evaluation. So The evaluation process actually starts with that beginning icebreaker question, because asking them how comfortable they are at the beginning and then at the end of the course, after they've received all this information, gets them started on that self-evaluation of what they themselves learned. The rest of the evaluation would come after the workshop ends, and it would be a follow-up survey that would be emailed to the managers. They would also receive handouts and those, takeaways with that email. So the evaluation survey that they would receive would have these four questions. So, what was the most useful learning from the workshop? Were the materials and forms provided appropriate for your workshop and the role? Would you like to see improved or repeated, or what would you like to see improved or repeated in future courses with this facilitator? And how do you plan to apply or implement what you learned during the workshop? I think that last one is going to be the most important one, because that's what's going to really lead your learners to actually apply what they learned. So from here, I'm just going to very quickly show you some of the slides that the actual students would see. So you'll see a little bit of a difference in the presentation colors here, because this is what would actually go out to the students. These are pretty word heavy at the beginning, but after that, you're going to see that it goes to very minimal words, because really we want the facilitator to be the one driving the information. You don't ever want your students to be sitting there reading a PowerPoint with a lot of information as you're trying to get them to really think about the processes. The other thing I really want to show you is what activities are going to look like. So when these get presented to the students, you're going to have those forms given to them ahead of time that they're going to be able to fill out. We'll give direction, give them some time to fill them out based on that sample project that they're working on, and then have a discussion on what the challenges were, what opportunities there are, any other details that they might need for that particular activity. So we'll run through the rest of this fairly quickly here, because I do want to show you that at the end we'll have time for Q&A. We'll go back through those learning objectives just to reinforce what we hope that they learned. And we'll return to that icebreaker question. And lastly, we'll thank them for attending. So in the same way that I would thank the students, I'm going to thank you guys for watching. It's a great semester. I can't wait to see everyone else's presentations too.